Hi and welcome on this channel. If you're new here, my name is Maureen and here we talk about mindset and we talk about law of attraction and manifesting. So today we are going to dive into my experience in a plant medicine ceremony. I really wanted to share this with you because I think it would interest a lot of people, and especially if you're about to embark on the plant ceremony or if you're just curious about it. It's always nice to have, someone's feedback on it and their experience on it, just so you feel a little bit reassured about what's coming for you, or if you're interested in it and want to take part in it. So let's dive into the beginning of this story. So I had an experience with a plant called Tepezcohuite. So I'm not sure what's the English word for it. I know this word is very known by Mexican people. It is in Spanish, and I'm not really sure how to say that in English, but it's called Tepezcohuite. And before I dived a little bit more into what it is, I'm gonna first dive into how I encountered my practitioner, how I had this idea, and why did I want to do a plant medicine ceremony. So it all started back to Canada. For a little while, I had been thinking of doing a plant medicine ceremony. I just didn't know with which plant I wanted to do. If you don't know anything about plant medicine ceremony, I guess the most famous one could be ayahuasca. But there's a lot of other plants and medicine that you can use in a ceremony, such as Kambo is the main one that is coming to me right now. Sapo as well is another one. So there are quite a few options out there, and depending on your intention and what you actually want to experience or have answers in will determine which plant medicine you should be taking. So back to my story, back in Canada, I was recommended someone who is from Mexico. She's an indigenous person, and I really wanted to do a ceremony with her. And so I had tried to, book a call with her, but it wasn't possible until after I came back from my trip in Mexico. And I was like, okay, I contact her when I'm back from Mexico and we'll book something, like a call to see, and we'll see what's going to happen. And I went to Mexico to visit my partner's family. And so in that time, I remembered that his mom before told us about all the plant ceremonies that she had done in Mexico. And I immediately thought that, oh, maybe there's something for me in Mexico. And maybe I should try to see if there are some ceremonies available. So I asked my stepmother, and she doesn't really have any answers yet from anyone that she had practiced with. But one day we go to her hairdresser, and suddenly she's asking the hairdresser, because apparently the hairdresser had also a lot of plant medicine ceremonies. And she's starting to send all these contacts about people that are trustworthy and that are doing these ceremonies. And so I reached out to all of them, and all of them were doing ayahuasca. And this was the time where I was a little bit scared of doing ayahuasca, because I've always seen it as something really intense, and I was really scared of having a bad trip. But I contact them, with an open mind, and no one was available before the time that I was supposed to leave, except one. So I'm talking to this person, and he answers all my questions, which I really, really appreciated, because I was a little bit apprehensive about the ceremony, and he answers all my questions. And this was supposed to be with ayahuasca. And it was also supposed to be 2 days before I left. So the ceremony was on a Saturday night, and I was supposed to leave on a Monday. So I was ready to do it, but I was also a little bit like, oh, should I do it? Because, I'm going to travel. I'm going to be surrounded by a lot of people in a constricted space and for long hours. Like, I'm not sure how I'm going to be feeling, but I'm ready to try it. And comes the week of the ceremony. So the ceremony again was on a Saturday, and now we're on the Monday, the week of the ceremony. And suddenly my stepmother comes to me and she tells me that someone that she knows reached out back to her, and that actually she's doing a ceremony on the Wednesday. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's so soon. Like, what are the details? And so she was working with psilocybin, and the first word that I've heard for Tepezcohuite was actually samadhi. So she tells me, you're gonna do samadhi. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. And I've tried to look for it online, and so if you search for samadhi, I'm not sure what you're going to get, but what I got was like it had nothing to do with the plant ceremony. I'm not really sure what were the results, but it had nothing to do with the plant ceremony. And so I was just a little bit confused on what exactly it was. Like, there was not really any information. But at some point, I'm talking with this person, this practitioner, and she tells me that it's also called Tepezcohuite. So what is in Tepezcohuite basically is a molecule called DMT. Again, I'm not an expert on that, but DMT is also contained in ayahuasca as an example and as a comparison. So they're both plants that contains DMT, basically. And that's basically all I know. About Tepezcohuite. I also know it's really good for cosmetics purposes, according to Salma Hayek too. It's really good for the skin apparently, but there's not a lot of information when I've tried to look for it on Tepezcohuite itself, because obviously I wanted to know more, and I was interested into knowing more what I would be taking. I think that's perfectly normal, but I was very trustworthy of the person and of the plant itself, because my stepmother had done it before, and so she had done it with this practitioner. So I was just very I really trusted her, and I still trust her into that experience. And I think that's a very important component. If you are going to try a plant medicine ceremony, do it with someone that you trust, that you feel you can trust, and that is going to be in a safe space. Those two components are very important. Do not do it alone, and do not do it with someone who seems a bit sketchy. Just do it with someone that maybe either is recommended to you by a person that you trust and the person that has tried the medicine with them, or someone that you can basically really trust with this process, and in a space that you will feel safe. This is very, very, very important. So, to come back to my story, this is how I felt. I just felt a lot of trust, so I was not really worried. I was not afraid, and I'm not really sure. I know that with ayahuasca and Tepezcohuite, you need to follow a specific diet prior to the ceremony. I'm not really sure if it's the case with any other plant medicine. I would assume so. But basically, and again, it depends on the practitioner, but sometimes you have to follow this diet 2 weeks prior to ceremony, or maybe just a few days. So in my case, it was 3 days before the ceremony. It's basically a vegan diet, which I already 98% have. So that was pretty easy for me. So it's mostly a vegan diet, a diet that doesn't contain, products with a lot of sugar or a lot of salt. And the day of the ceremony, we couldn't drink anything that had caffeine in it. I'm trying to think of what else, but basically it's this specific diet. You receive all the information by your practitioner, and in my case, I was taking a medication that was not a contraindication, but that I still had to stop taking 3 days before the ceremony. So if you're taking a medication, I would really recommend to talk about this to your practitioner, just so that you make sure there's not any interaction between your medication and the drug, because that can be potentially deadly or just very dangerous. So I would really recommend talking about it to your practitioner. I'm on the top of my mind, I just know that antidepressants are actually a contraindication for this type of plant medicine ceremony, and that you should stop taking them about 2 weeks prior to the ceremony if you want to participate. So, there's this whole preparation to it where you also have to practice either meditation or just mindfulness and having positive thoughts. And why is this important? Because you don't want to step into a plant medicine ceremony where you're basically taking a drug that is putting you in an altered state of consciousness and you feel like you do not want to feel like this. When you're taking this plant medicine, you want to feel good. You want to have a good experience. So this few days before, it's very important to practice mindfulness and just try to keep as many positive thoughts as you can. One thing that I had done as well prior to the ceremony was to prepare my intentions. I already knew what I wanted to experience, what I wanted answers on, and what I wanted to heal on. And so I made sure that everything was written down and that I had put everything that I wanted to experience during that ceremony. So that was kind of the part before the ceremony. There's a whole preparation into it. In my case, I was only asked to do it 3 days prior, but that can be a little bit more depending on the practitioner once again. And now comes the day of the ceremony. So I was pretty calm. I think I knew that I had prepared everything that I needed to prepare, and that I was good with my mindset, and that I had my intentions. So I go to this place. I had never been before, so obviously there was this little apprehension, but like in a good way. I had this little apprehension about when you go somewhere and do something that you just have never done before. There's this little apprehension of the unknown, and that's what I had, but I was very excited to dive into the process. And so, I go there, I meet the practitioner, I meet the other people who are here to help as well. And we start with this meditation, and just FYI, I do speak Spanish, so I understood everything, but it's not my native language. So there was this meditation in Spanish, and what she was saying, I appreciated the language itself, and it was just so beautiful, and it put, I think, everyone in such a beautiful energy and in such a beautiful space of mind. And there was a lot of sun as well, and it was a beautiful garden. I don't know, just the whole thing was beautiful to start with. So we started with this meditation just to ground us, be here in the present moment, and welcome everyone. And so we were 4 people, so it was a very small group. It's actually, depending on the practitioner, obviously, but it's not very common to have such a small group. And all the other participants were taking psilocybin. So it was in the form of a liquid. They took it, and me, I was the only one to take Tepezcohuite. So what they gave me was to start 2 pills to help with digestion, to prepare kind of my stomach to receive, because the Tepezcohuite in the form that I personally received it in this moment was in the form of a pill, so that it would directly go to my gastric system and that it could take effects more rapidly. So they made me take those 2 pills to prepare my stomach, for and avoid any discomforts and anything. And then the practitioner kind of explains to me what is going to happen, what is she doing. So I felt very safe and very reassured into this practice. And I take my first pill a little bit after, and they tell me that it's going to take effect into about 30 minutes. So then you're just supposed to kind of, lay down and kind of go into a meditation. And she tells me that if I do some type of breath work, then it can help kind of fasten the effects. And so because I'm a breathwork practitioner, I know how to do that. So I'm starting to put myself in a gentle breathwork, very relaxed. And honestly, I'm not really sure how long it was, because they actually take your phone and your car keys, because there's a possibility that you kind of enter a small psychosis and that you actually do want to leave the space while you are under the effect of the plant medicine, and that can be extremely dangerous. So they just take your car keys and they take your phone. And so they took my phone. I didn't have any notions of time whatsoever, but honestly, it seemed like it lasted for quite some time. Nothing happened. I remember I was just so annoyed because nothing was happening, and I was really annoyed. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I just, I paid for this, and now I'm gonna see my stepmother, my boyfriend, and I'm gonna tell them that nothing had happened, but it's fine. And I don't know, I was just very, very annoyed that nothing would happen, and that's not really my personality, which was it was a bit of a weird vibe. But I calmed down. I just like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna be in a meditation for 4 hours. And then at some point one practitioner is coming to me, and she's like, oh, maybe eat some banana, to help with digestion. So I eat. And a little while after, the main practitioner comes to me, and she's just asking me, so nothing is happening for you, right? And I'm like, yeah, nothing is happening. So she's like, okay, I'm going to give you the second pill. The second pill is a full dose. So this is your last pill, basically. So I take the pill. Right after I take the pill, one of the practitioners just asked me to lay down on my belly with my arms along my body. And so she starts giving me a massage. And I can only compare it with the Thai massages, but it was very, very she just put a lot of pressure on it. And honestly, it was so painful. It was the most painful massage I had ever received in my life. And I am someone who, loves Thai oil massage. So I do love when it cracks, when there's a bit of pressure. But she put so much pressure, and in these very painful points. And I realized, what is going on in my body? I think my body is just really tense, and I really needed this massage. But she just goes for my back, my whole back cracks, and it was just extremely, extremely painful. And she does that, and suddenly she stops and she puts her hands on my back, two of her hands on my back. And me in my head, all I'm thinking is how I'm gonna tell my friends that I had the most painful massage ever, and somehow it makes me laugh. So I start laughing a lot, and I'm just saying sorry, sorry for laughing. And she says, no, that's all good, that's okay. And so I laugh, and then I start crying. I am bawling, and then I start having visions. Okay, so part 2 will be coming very, very soon. I just decided that I would kind of cut this video into 2 parts, just so that I would make it a little bit more, entertaining for you, because watching already 20 minutes of video is a long time. But I will be coming soon for part 2 with my whole experience, what happened to me, and the after part of how I felt and kind of what happened to me after the ceremony. So I hope that you enjoyed this whole video. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell button so that you don't miss any of my videos, so that you don't miss the part 2 of this video. And ask me any questions in the comments. I will gladly answer. And I guess that is it for me today. So I hope that you have an amazing day, and I will see you soon. All right, bye.